Good morning, everybody. That's how an elk from Monty Python makes a noise at the beginning of the An Elk Brackets Miss Brackets theory about the Brontosaurus. Don't worry, if you're not a Monty Python fan, it means nothing to you. So I'm not going to try and explain it. Sia's pulling faces at me as we speak. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, don't stress. It's not the end of the world. It's a Wednesday morning, the 2nd of June, and it is freezing. Sia was just saying to me, he's wearing a Steve Jobs type polo neck, and
yes,
those things are meant to keep you warm. But I can't wear. It's like a scarf. I don't actually like to wear a scarf. I know they're good for you, and they keep your throat warm, and that's just a vulnerable part of your body to the cold. I can't wear anything on my neck like that. It makes me crazy. It constantly. I'm always like fiddling with it. Even if there's a jersey that comes up too high, I can't wear it. So I know what an irritation that is. And Sia, it's like, never seen you wearing a polo neck before.
Death by cotton. I do feel like I could pass out at any point. Hey, but it will make for an interesting show.
Well, Monica says, Sia, you look like part of Boys to Men.
If you do want... Yes.
To the end of the road. Yeah. Still I can't let go. Great.
If you do want to indulge me as a former South African Style Award judge.
Oh, that's true. Yes, you are.
Yes. Polo necks stereotypically wouldn't work for a person like me because I have a very short torso. So when you have a short torso and then also cancels out your neck, you look like you're 3 centimeters long.
Oh. See, I did
this
not
year,
know that.
I defied the odds. Said,
how do you make a monster like me look good? What should I wear to be less monstrous? I mean, you're a style judge. Help me.
Well, Gareth, that will mean I have to consult, and that will mean I'll have to invoice you. I'm joking.
Okay. Well, I mean...
No, you have height on your side, so that works. A lot of people are always trying to compensate, either trying to make themselves look taller, or then trying to play with their size in terms of how big or small they look. But you have size, so the stature helps you. You don't have a lot to worry about.
It's such a weird thing. Like, you totally take height for granted if you have it. If you don't have it, it's pretty much the only thing you think about.
Yeah. Because you walk into places and you're looking up at people.
Right.
Then it's all your insecurities coming out to play. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I never think about it because what am I, 182 centimeters tall. That's what, 6'3" or 6'4", somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. But I never really think about it. So I walk into a room and it's not a thing to me that I'm tall. I don't consider it. It's all I know, right? But if you're short, it does kind of play on you. I remember a short friend of mine in a moment of drunken honesty, he was like, I'm always thinking about how I'm not as tall. He's very careful about what girls he dates because if they're taller than him, it's a real, like it just never works. He said the first thing he checks, and he's one of those guys who's always on Tinder. He says the first thing he checks is how tall a girl is. And if she's not at least like this much shorter than him, he's not interested in her. He can't even if she's perfect for him in every way. And I'm like, what? I've never considered that. I've never even thought about it. It's so weird. Here's Leigh-Ann Mole, everybody. Good morning, Leigh-Ann Mole.
Hello.
Good morning.
You look cheery this morning. Yeah, perfectly. Yeah. And we were just talking about like short people and how to them, like being short is such a thing. The people who are not short don't think about that stuff, but people who are short, it's what they think about all the time.
Yeah.
It's light.
Then I'd say that there's some people it's slightly off-putting to me when you can tell that they are not comfortable with their height. So they're trying to cower down, and they can't stand up straight because they just feel awkward and lanky. Just own it, man.
Well, I've told the story before about that guy who was he was extremely tall, and he walked in to a room where I was talking to someone else, and I found myself becoming like aggressive to him, which is the weirdest thing. But he was really tall. He was like at least a head and maybe some more taller than I was. And while I was talking to him, he said to me, "There's something wrong," and I was like, "Why would he say that?" And I realized, like, just in time, because I'd maybe said a sentence already, that my natural setting to him was aggressive just because he was tall, which was so stupid. And it shows you how much of an effect that has, even when you're not aware of your own height. The minute you're around someone who's taller than you, especially as a guy, you tend
find that
to
intimidating.
Yeah, you tend to play it up, you know. You tend to like have to punch above your weight, so to speak. It was very weird. And I've never forgotten that. So now I'm very, very aware, and occasionally it obviously slips, but I'm mostly conscious of the fact that when I am talking to someone who's taller than me, that I don't default to like ape and start becoming a shithead. That obviously offended Leigh-Ann. She's just left the conversation.
Yes.
Very bad. When Steering Pikachu says, "I'm short and I don't mind a tall Amazon woman, one that can pick me up." Well, you know, there we go. Sure, if that's your thing, great. Yeah, and Ruth says, "I'm 4'11". I think it's the big boobs that weigh me down. Oh, heck, I don't always think about it. I wish I could get rid of my large boobs instead. Well, you're thinking about your boobs all the time, Ruth. So, I mean, that's something to consider. And you can actually have a...
Ruth raises a good point. Apart from height, then you get the dynamics or rather the ratio of legs to torso. And it seems like it doesn't matter, but to some people it really does. So I have a friend who's somewhat around Ruth's height, also with big boobs, and she makes a note of it all the time. She can't sit and slouch. Because if she sits and slouches, it looks like her boobs are basically touching her thighs. And
that's incredible.
That's not a good look for anyone. You just need at least some sliver of a tummy.
Unfortunately, like a friend of mine sent a picture to me yesterday of a girl that was easily one of the hottest girls I'd ever seen when I was at varsity. And what she's looking like now, and it's just, she's a shadow of her former self. And I thought, Jesus, age is a bastard, you know? It can hit some people so goddamned hard, like a sledgehammer, and there's just nothing you could do about it. But to go back to this height thing for a second, there are people who think about this stuff all the time. I mean, Corona's Boring says, "I'm a short person stuck in a tall person's body. I identify as not being able to reach the top shelf." But it is all about proportion. It is all about proportions here, and this is what this comment is from Monica. She says, "Other than my main job as a florist, I'm a qualified personal stylist. It's all about proportions. Anyone can look amazing with the right fit." And I mean, the funny thing is, right, that if you dress properly, it totally mitigates whatever proportional problems you have. Like proportionality, symmetry is what nature is all about. If you look at the Fibonacci sequence, which is the sequence that allows in nature for branches to grow on a tree stem and for leaves to come out of a branch. And
it's not something that's just available at an Italian restaurant.
No, although it sounds like a meal, it sounds like something on the menu. The Fibonacci sequence is also about symmetry. And if you look at the way the universe is constructed, even at the atomic level, atoms are so perfectly symmetrical. The quantum, the parts of an atom, even in the nucleus of an atom, are so perfectly symmetrical. 3 quarks for every proton and every neutron, and everything's just in nature. That's why beauty is so important, and beauty is not just some decorative thing. Beauty is absolutely essential to happiness, and what you find beautiful. What you find beautiful, you think is up to you. You think it's all subjective. You think it's, I find this kind of thing more attractive than I find that kind of thing. But deep down inside, it's actually appealing to a very ancient part of you. It's appealing to a very scientific, very cold, hard part of you that is not really terribly interested in the soft stuff at all. It's actually what you're seeing is the stuff that nature wants you to pay attention to, that symmetry, that proportion. And this is so important. I mean, you don't have to be an aesthete to appreciate these things. It's massively, massively important to humans. In fact, it is the reason that your DNA makes you attracted to another person, for example, is because your DNA secretly, in some subconscious way, is operating on the basis that if you, and this is obviously for like a male-female relationship, right? But if you find as a man her attractive, or if she finds you attractive, what your DNA is really telling you is that would be a good combination. We could produce much more
combination to reproduce.
Yes, correct. It's that out of your. It's so much.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's so much out of your control. I mean, we all think it's well within our control. The reason you find certain people attractive and others not is because your DNA is seeing things that will complement it. That's all it is. There's no romance. There's no magic. That's all it is. And I mean, it is a kind of magic, but it's extraordinary. Monica says Italians have known that beauty is extremely important on a higher level. That's why we're so known for it. That's true. But all over the world, every culture celebrates beauty. And we all have, that's what art is, right? Art is a way to represent, in most situations, I mean, there's revolting art and there's art that challenges things. But the majority of sculpture, painting, all the high arts, most of that is about celebrating beauty. And it's just spectacular to see. I mean, like, there's a reason that the most celebrated paintings and drawings and sculptures and architecture in the world is universal. The reason that we all look at a building like St. Peter's Cathedral in Rome and we all go, oh, is because the awe-inspiring beauty of it just hits us in a place that we can't explain. It'll bring a tear to your eye. I mean, I will cry if music is beautiful enough. I will cry if I see a painting that makes me awestruck.
I will cry when I see a gentleman's great 6-month bank statement. Beautiful.
You are so materialistic. Oh my God, you're a gold digger. I mean, your reputation is getting worse and worse with every opportunity you take to open your mouth about how much you just love money. You'll do anything.
Keep quiet from now on. I'm not on the show anymore.
See, you should just be a high-class hooker. I mean, you should be.
Sorry,
like
I interrupted.
You should be South Africa's most. No. I mean, you've just taken it from here to here. You should be South Africa's most highly paid male call guy. That's what you should be. And you should just charge a fortune. You should be like, well, I'll take you to all the important, because you know everybody, right? I'll introduce you to all these.
I'd want to be the master. I don't want to be out in the cold Joburg streets.
No, you wouldn't be a street hooker. Leigh-Ann, the conversation has just descended from a discussion of beauty and what makes people beautiful, and how we all differ, and proportionality and symmetry. It's just evolved from that into Sia being a gold digger again.
No.
Listen, this is not the type of conversation that the two of you are allowed to have without some kind of grounding anchor.
Okay.
Which is?
Moi. It's moi.
Yeah, Leigh-Ann is, she's ascribing powers to herself again. Go on.
No, come on, guys. When it comes to...
Why don't you focus on paying your electricity so that you can come on the show at the right time, you fucking cheapskate. So Leigh-Ann Mole...
One step at a time, okay?
She sends me this story. Oh, no, ran out of electricity, juicing up now. And then she goes off and buys like electricity on her app or whatever. And now she's suddenly got power in her house. What happened? Did you forget that you owed Eskom money?
Oh, no. It's prepaid electricity that I'm on, which has a lot of benefits. A lot of times when there's load shedding, you have a bit of a benefit, but
Yeah.
it's also good because you don't end up owing Eskom any cent of interest should anything
Right.
run over. You owe them nothing. It's all under
Yeah.
your control, which is fantastic. Problem is when you buy prepaid electricity. So when I lived in McGregor, and that's what started me off. There was no choice there. You had to have prepaid. And you would buy your electricity and you'd receive a code to punch into the little keypad. And the code was 5 digits long.
Okay.
Not so in Johannesburg. It's 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 digits long.
Oh, geez.
Now you try and type that in.
Johannesburg, because Johannesburg's people are much more crooked, right?
Yeah, they've got to make it cryptic.
No, they have to make it like a fucking Bitcoin wallet code. Otherwise, you're gonna find some way to cheat the thing. Some guy in the municipality is handing out codes to his family. Watch.
But now imagine trying to type in this 20-digit number when you've run out of electricity. So in the dark.
Oh, wow.
They didn't think that one through.
Yeah. No, that's ridiculous.
Doesn't it annoy you in these times when you don't have your load shed or if you've just run out of electricity? That's annoying.
Oh no, it's ridiculous. When the electricity goes out, it's you check the board, you check your app, you check the little PIN code thingy. Oh, no, it's.
I bought
yesterday. I didn't have electricity or water, and I said to
that's not
Precious, who comes to me once a week, who's from Zimbabwe. I said to her, Precious, what are our prospects in Zimbabwe? Because I'm seriously thinking about it.
Oh my God, you want to move to Zim? It's that bad?
Yeah, I mean, what the hell?
Leigh-Ann, you're better off pitching a tent in your garden and just living there now, because just accept that the wilderness is within you now.
Or just get one of those Primus stoves that run off paraffin or something, and then you can warm yourself there. You can cook your food, and it'll give you a little bit of light, just enough to join the show in the morning. I bought this thing. Look at this. I bought this stand. Let me just put it on the main screen for my iPad, which is quite cool. Do you see this?
Ooh.
This thing is quite awesome because it
looks like a lampshade base, but then it's
amazing.
Then you hook your iPad into it.
Yes, and it's very cool because it allows me to I can take it to other places in the house, and I can use it as the screen for the show or whatever. And my iPad was on the blink, but I realized part of the problem was it was on the stupid stand that had it at an angle where it wasn't working properly. I didn't know, but it's one of those early generation iPads, so it wasn't. It's not one of the latest ones, and those things, obviously, over time they deteriorate. They get more and more. They just need new software updates, and they don't update properly, and blah blah blah. Anyway, now this thing's working like a dream, just because I bought the stand for it, and it's really cool. Like, you find things like that to make. I just feel like the show is a little more professional if I have the right equipment around me, because it still bothers me a little bit that we're not in studio. It doesn't. Certainly not in the middle of winter, and I know Sia will vouch for us because he's not enjoying this week. Simpiwe. By the way, Leigh-Ann, you're very lucky because I know how paranoid and hypochondriac you are. This week, if you were at Cliff Central, we've got like a 75% infection rate at Cliff Central this week with COVID.
Yeah, I'd be calling in sick this week.
We reckon Simpiwe was patient 0. And
Gareth, can you name and shame such as the unofficial HR department? Isn't it like personal?
All right, I'm going to give you the lowdown because you deserve to know. As the listeners of this show, you deserve to know what's really happening. All right, so here it is.
People got to know.
Simpiwe is patient 0. She passed it on to Khomolemo and to Greg and to Barrett. And I think they passed it on to... who else has got it? Mum Jane has got it, which is very upsetting because she's apparently got it worse than anybody else. And look, everybody's okay, and no one's like in ICU or going to hospital or any of that stuff. But it's a worry because this thing, if you pass it on to parents, and some of them are worried about their parents, and somehow Sia and I haven't got it, or we haven't got symptoms. We may have we may have had COVID already. You don't know, right? But we haven't got symptoms. So the only 4 of us that have escaped this somehow. No, they're 5. It's me, Sia, Dory, Rena, and Spike who haven't got it.
All the seniors.
Sia's not a senior. How dare you?
Excuse me, madam.
You
Do
old
I
bat.
need to roll down my Polonix so that you can see my supple skin underneath?
Sia's only 26.
Jeez.
What are those frills?
Hey.
Look at this.
Wow.
Okay, Sia Sangweni, there he is.
I did though, when I first found out about everyone being ill. Well, actually, before that, last week, I was in here for a meeting and someone was really, really ill. Gareth, I still don't think we should be mentioning names. I don't know. I just feel like it's some sort of regulation or something.
You do your thing. I name and shame. That's what we do on this show. If I was the one who brought it in, I would have said so.
So one person was really not looking good in the meeting. And I said, can you please step out a bit? Can you please sit away from us? And everyone thought I was being so horrible to them. But they were coughing. It seemed like if we gave them 2 more seconds, they'd be coughing up their lungs. Oh, this is not good. So I wasn't surprised when I heard over the weekend that people were like getting sick by the moment. So from Monday or Tuesday, I called one of our team members, Greg, and I said, Greg, are you fine? Are you well? Is the whole family fine? And he said, yes, we'll make it through this. Then I said, I told you so. Damn it. I told you so. Never too early for an I told you so.
I love nothing more than an I told you so. And we've had a couple of those last few days, right? We've had the China virus thing, which I went on about yesterday, and some people loved. I haven't yet heard I still haven't heard from Chairman Xi about how he feels about that. But there are obviously lots of people who are not so thrilled about what I said about China yesterday. But that turns out to be more than just general information. It's now an established fact that this virus may very well, the probability of it coming out of a manufactured situation in a Chinese lab where there wasn't sufficient protocols is pretty much right up there. The Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, New York Times, they're all reporting on this like it's true now, and those are all credible media outlets.
The South African.com.
Oh yes, them too. Yeah, of course they're credible.
My
Zimbabwe.
Yeah, we could go from the high to the low on this one. And the other I told you so is all the lockdown stuff, which from the very beginning of last year, there were some of us who were saying this is going to be more damaging in the long term to the economy, and they're not going to be as many deaths as they say, and it's not as dangerous a disease as they say. That's come true. The extreme conspiracy theorists, the people who said, "Oh well, this isn't even a real thing," obviously that's not true. We've got scientific evidence that that the coronavirus is very real, that it's very contagious, that it has spread through populations, it has caused deaths, it has led to people being hospitalized and put in intensive care and put on oxygen and so on. So I don't think anyone thinks that is possibly true. But I told you so in respect of someone sneezing in a meeting or coughing in a meeting, you're allowed to claim that one, Sia. You have that I told you so, and you take it with you.
It is the sweet, sweet, satisfying I told you so, as I can breathe and hop and skip, and I can let someone cough down my throat.
Why don't you just be happy that you don't have the coronavirus? How about that? How about you just be grateful about that for a change instead of having to
not satisfying enough.
Dance in someone else's misery. Sia, have you been for a test, or are you going to go for a test since everyone around us is going?
No, well, my conclusion here, professional or not, is that since I had it in December and I showed symptoms back then, I think it would be very random if I were to get it again and not show symptoms. So I think I would only go for a test, or rather start really extra isolating if I were to show further symptoms.
Well, the only thing I want to add before we get to headlines about the coronavirus, because we've spoken about it, God knows for how long, and it really is one of the most boring things. I was talking to Sia yesterday. We're planning the last few TV shows for the season, and I said, the one thing, there are two things I don't want to talk about anymore. The one is the coronavirus and kind of what we've done about COVID in this country. And the other thing is the ANC and how it's falling apart, because it almost feels like those two stories just haven't stopped for a whole year, and sometimes even longer in the case of the ANC. But there is one other bit of information. The WHO, and if you still trust them, the World Health Organization, you really need your head read. Because remember, they're the ones who told us all those months ago, China's done a great job. They did that in February last year. They were saying China's done a great job of containing this. Yeah, that's why the whole world has it. The WHO have said they're going to rename the variants of COVID.
Oh, damn it.
Yes, thank you, Leigh-Ann.
I'm trying to get you.
They're going to rename the variants because apparently it was racist to call it the Wuhan virus or the China virus because, of course, that is where it comes from.
And then there's the British strain and the South African strain.
Correct. And we were all upset. We were like, how come we can't call it the China virus, but you guys can call this the South African variant of that virus? So apparently the WHO have decided they're naming these strains the alpha, beta, gamma, and so on down the Greek alphabet. How terribly politically correct of them, just to make sure China doesn't get the blame anymore. Because, of course, China has the WHO by the balls. And if anybody doesn't think so, you're not paying attention. Remember, in January last year, the WHO were the people who said, don't worry, this thing is not transmissible from human to human. That's what they said. The WHO. Fucking hell. That's what they said.
Gareth, they can't know everything like off the bat.
Then they should shut up.
Pardon the pun, bat.
Oh, if you're the World Health Organization and you expect to be taken seriously, don't say something stupid like this is not transmissible from human to human. And then it turns out not only is it transmissible, it's hugely contagious. Don't lie to people.
Then they keep quiet. Then you say they aren't doing their job. Why aren't they saying something?
No, I don't. They're a political organization. They're not a health organization. And if you take them seriously and you take the United Nations seriously at this point, you're just an idiot. I didn't take them seriously, so I'm not cross with them. You should be. They lied to you. You took them seriously, not me. I'm just pointing out how stupid you are to believe them. Anyway,
so the UK virus is going to be known as Alpha.
Okay, the UK
variant, rather. The one first spotted in South Africa will be called Beta or Beta. Brazil's will go by Gamma. I like the fact that we're Beta or Beta because Britain was very quick to call it the South African variant.
Yes. Now they're getting the heated. I see, though, that there's so much panic porn on UK television. And, I just have to occasionally check in on Sky News because they just love beating that tired old drum. If you turned on Sky News yesterday, which I did, or if you turned it on in June last year, exactly a year ago, or if you turned it on in February last year, the message is the same. Panic, panic, panic. Fear, fear, fear. And by the way, if we're going to start with alpha and beta, we're going to run out of letters soon because there are thousands and thousands of variants popping up. Every one, like the flu. The reason that you go for the flu vaccine and sometimes it doesn't work so well is because there's so many different variants of the flu. It's constantly mutating. This is what viruses do. So if we're going to name the South African and UK variants, then we're going to run out of letters pretty quickly for all the other variants.
Back with alpha, alpha, beta, beta.
Oh yeah. Okay. Eventually we'll have like for the 4,200th variant that they pick up in someone, they'll be like alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, psion, epsilon. What are the others? Eventually ends with omega. Elon Musk. That's right.
What?
I had the weirdest dream last night. Yes, I dreamt that I was
Elon Musk.
Yeah, I was at some restaurant and Elon Musk walked in, but with like 40 people in his retinue who all looked like the world's biggest nerds. They were like all wearing They were all wearing thick glasses and like
Very
had,
realistic.
yeah, no, it's true. Like these are probably the people who work for him. And if I ever see the people who work at Tesla or any of the other businesses, SpaceX or whatever, I'd probably recognize these people from my dream, because I saw Elon Musk and he went and sat at this really long table with all of his nerd friends, and it was just so weird. Like the dream was so realistic.
Yeah.
I can remember what I was eating and everything, and then suddenly there's this noise in the restaurant, and then Elon comes in with all his mates, or all his, I don't know who they were. They definitely, yeah. It wasn't as if he was announced, but when people go, oh, or there's this hush, there's this noise in a restaurant, and then there's suddenly a bit of silence, and he comes in. Anyway, it was very weird.
Oh, my aunt will tell you not to eat in dreams, and I've always found that to be the most
Really?
bizarre thing. She's so superstitious. So she believes
Don't be superstitious. Don't be superstitious.
Don't be superstitious.
As per some people who might believe in this too, they say that if someone wants to perform voodoo on you, or they're bewitching you with some bad sangoma, they could come into your dreams and serve you food, and as you willingly eat that, then that's like the muti that they give to you. So now I've always been so paranoid, thinking, how am I supposed to control my dreams? Now you're at a restaurant, you should go, sorry, dream waitress, I'm full.
No, I don't know about any of those rules about what you are and aren't meant to do in dreams, but how are you meant to control your dreams? I mean, I can't.
You can.
No, you can't.
No, you can. Definitely. Have you?
Really?
I mean, okay, guys, this is me and my dreams.
For the week.
Yeah, we tried it one week, and I couldn't get it to work.
If I wake up because I need to go to the loo desperately, and I'm having a good dream, if I tell myself to dream the same thing again, I'll continue the dream when I go to sleep.
No, you're very lucky. I've tried.
You come back, fall asleep, and you still carry on with that same dream.
No,
Mm-hmm.
she's got superpowers, because I've tried that. Trust me, I've been in the middle of a really great dream, like you're about to have sex with some amazingly gorgeous girl from movies, and you're like really excited, and then you wake up and you're like, fuck, and then you go back to sleep, and you try to get back into the dream. It never works, ever. Not for me.
No, it does work. And you can also tell yourself before you go to sleep what you're going to dream about. It's nothing. It's not.
You must be a witch.
It's not woo-woo. It's not woo-woo stuff. It's like scientifically proven brain stuff.
Yeah, you're a witch.
You're the people my aunt was warning me about.
Yeah, she's a witch. She has these powers. How come you only reveal your powers to us now, oh Leigh-Ann Mole?
Remember, I'm the one with hypnagogia, which is seen as a gift in the Native American culture.
Yeah, meanwhile, you need a sleeping Jesus to help you get to sleep. By the way, is that thing still working?
Yeah, still going strong.
Are you getting a good night's sleep now? Are you sleeping through the night?
Yeah, sleep through the night mostly, and through the morning when I'm supposed to be here.
But if you were around in the 1600s with your hypnagogia and your ability to go back into dreams,
apnea,
all of those things,
I'd be dead.
You'd be burnt at the stake for all your evil powers. People wouldn't they wouldn't trust you in the village. You'd be shunned.
I'd be the only witch in the village.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Elson says, if you want to see your dreams come true, pee in your dreams, and next time you'll control that.
Yeah,
that's also true.
Oh, it's the worst when you convince yourself that you're sitting on a loo, but you're not.
Leigh-Ann, how often does that happen in your life?
No, like once a year, maybe.
Oh God. Will you wet the bed?
Or maybe I just peed a little.
Oh, Leigh-Ann.
Wait, you last wet your bed like in the past 12 months?
Yes, when you're having a dream.
Oh no, Leigh-Ann, this is worse than Sia shitting himself because at least he was conscious while he was doing that. Oh my God, you peed in your bed at the age of 47. Look at
It
you.
happens, guys. My dreams are very convincing.
Sure. That's incredible.
I need to understand if you are in the minority here or the majority. I'd love to hear from more people if they pee at least once a year.
Or you'll
beds.
you'll start and you're like, oh.
Leigh-Ann in bed late at night. Samantha says it's called lucid dreaming. It takes practice, but it is possible. I do it all the time. So you're also a witch, Samantha. That's what we know. Dear Gareth, here's a message from Mila. Dear Gareth, I stopped listening to you when you went off of 5FM. For years I suffered. I'm so happy to have found you again. Now I can listen to relevant info and news on my way to work. Love it. Meanwhile, we were talking about peeing in your bed. Poor Mila. She's waited 7 years to hear this bullshit conversation. Mila, I'm sorry you came in at just the wrong moment, but yeah, welcome. Everybody's welcome, Mila. I mean, the rest of us have been here for 7 years, but we don't mind. It's taken you this while to get here. We're only too happy to welcome you.
Yeah, you've just come to the dinner party, but the main course is not being served.
Well, some would say that the pudding's already been served and people are starting to get drunk, but
some would say we've eaten every cuisine in the world, in the world of cuisines.
We had rather a long meal while Mila's been absent, but you know what? It's never too late, so welcome. Lee says, that's the one dream we've all had at some point in life. I think she's referring to the peeing in your dream thing.
But every year? No.
Guys, stop judging.
Too late. Shame. The last time I had that dream was I was 12. So 14 years ago.
12 is still an acceptable age to be peeing in your... Have you got adult diapers around yet, Leigh-Ann? Because you're going to need those soon.
My mom's got some. I've been tempted.
Your birthday's coming up soon. Perhaps you just need to embrace it now.
The next step is what they call linen savers. This is what I've learned.
What are those?
Through. It's like have you seen those puppy training pads where you put out a sheet, like a rectangular sheet of absorbent material?
Oh no, that's terrible. Okay, we're gonna have to come back to this. I've got to get into this with more detail. I think everybody wants to know more, but we've got to get some headlines in as well.
I think you've only done one.
No, we haven't done any.
Even done any.
So here's the first headline from ENCA: load shedding is back. Back again. Load shedding's back. Tell your friends. It's on from 10 a.m. on Wednesday to 10 p.m. Friday night. How irritating. Apparently, there are breakdowns at the generating units at Arno and Majuba power stations. Eskom says emergency generation reserves have been depleted, blah, 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 blah. They just basically can't get their shit together. More stupidity from Eskom. I don't need to go into the details of it. You know what to expect from Eskom. Then the police killed 7 suspects in a shootout at a house in Pietermaritzburg. One of the suspects is believed to be part of a group that escaped from custody earlier this year. Remember those escapees, Sia? We talked about that on the show.
Yeah, like 20-odd people.
Yeah, they shot one of them in this house in Scottsville in Maritzburg. And no police officers were injured in the shootout, so as far as I can tell, that's a good story. If no police were injured and all the bad guys were, that's great.
You can't call them odd people. You don't even know them.
That's enough from the lady who pees her pants.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. The Pan-African Parliament has once again been postponed after more scuffles broke out. I don't know if you saw that video of Julius Malema threatening to kill some person in the Pan-African Parliament. I mean, if you've ever needed proof that Julius Malema should not be given any more responsibilities than he already has, and probably should have those taken away, he behaves like a child. And threatening to kill someone in Parliament while other people are witness and there are videos rolling, and you're talking in a legislative body, threatening to kill someone is a very, very serious thing. Julius Malema, who I've told you before, I think is very intelligent. I think he's a crafty and sly politician, but he's also a complete adolescent when it comes to controlling his own temper. And you can't have people like that in power. It's just not acceptable. The way he spoke to this, I don't know where the dude was from, like Malawi or something. But he was extremely rude to him, and then said, "I'm going to kill you. Come outside. I'll kill you." On Tuesday, the election was postponed after chaos erupted when members argued against rotational leadership. The South African delegation wants changes, is demanding the election be a rotational one. You know what this is? It just proves that the Pan-African parliament's a complete waste of money, and we should shut the whole thing down. And you know what this does? It reinforces all that shit that real racists believe, I'm afraid. It gives racists ammo. So how are we allowing this to happen? And why are we allowing our leaders to behave in such a fashion that the rest of the world looks at us and goes, "Oh, Africa"? Because that's what they're doing. Let's just own up to the fact that unless we tidy up our own house, we're never going to be respected. Because they do. They look at this and they go, "Wow, if that's the Pan-African Parliament, no wonder Africa's in the state it's in," right? That's what they're saying. And there's a bit of racism there. We know that. You'd expect that. So if we can't behave, that's what's going to happen. People are going to think that of us. And then we have no one to blame but ourselves. And I say that as a proud African who is increasingly upset by the fact that our leaders cannot give us the pride that we deserve. A 41-year-old Chinese man has been confirmed as the first human case of an infection with a rare bird flu strain. Oh, well done, China. Here's some fucking China. Here they go. They're back at the wheel, China. This is what happens when you give them control of anything, even agriculture or science. Officials didn't give details on how the man got infected with the H10N3 strain, which is thought to spread from humans to humans, but not so easily, they say. We've heard this from China before. The Jiangsu province resident who was diagnosed last week has now recovered and is ready to be discharged. There are many bird flu strains. It's not unheard of that people working with poultry occasionally get infected, says China. And you can't believe anything they say, but the Beijing National Health Commission said on Tuesday that the resident of the city of Zhanjiang was hospitalized on the 28th of April and diagnosed with H10N3 1 month later. No human cases have been reported in the world. The case that we have in question here is one of an occasional poultry to human cross-species transmission. The risk of a large-scale spread is extremely low, said the NHC. Oh, yeah, sure. We've heard this before. Anybody else have problems trusting China at this point, or is it just me? This is just me. I thought so.
I'm sure they've said that before.
Yeah, and Europe has some news to add to the pile today. Pope Francis has changed the Roman Catholic Church's laws to explicitly criminalize sexual abuse.
Took him a while.
Oh, well, thank goodness for that, because we've been going around just thinking that it was okay.
You know, Jesus died some 2,000 years ago, and only now have the Catholic Church decided to explicitly criminalize sex abuse. It's the biggest overhaul of the criminal code for 40 years in the Catholic Church.
At least it lets a whole lot of people off the hook, up until now.
Jesus. So the new rules make sexual abuse, grooming minors for sex, possessing child porn, and covering up abuse a criminal offense under Vatican law. Well, thank goodness for that. I mean, really, isn't this embarrassing?
It's laughable.
The Pope said one of the aims, was to reduce the number of cases in which the penalty was left to the discretion of authorities. Because you know what they did with Bernard Law, the cardinal in Boston, is they just moved him to the Vatican so he wouldn't be prosecuted under American law. Anyway, I mean, there's so many other cases. He's just the one that springs to mind. But take your pick. In almost any diocese, you're going to find some priest or some adult who's abusing a child or grooming a child or worse. And to me, that it's taken the Catholic Church this long to get to this point is outrageous. Anyway,
I know it's
what do you even
appalling.
say? What do you say?
And the funniest thing is that this relocation thing has been going on for ages. You know, if he messes up here, let's just move him to another town.
That's what they do.
That's
So you
easy.
end up with all these priests, these sex offenders in small towns where there are people who are so vulnerable to it, and nothing gets done about it because it's a small town.
Look, I do want to move on. It's just such an upsetting subject. I don't like talking about it at all, because there was also a report this week on one of the news sites that cyberbullying and online sexual grooming of children is on the increase in South Africa. Even the UN released a disgusting piece of propaganda the other day. Let me just find this for you, because this is easily one of the most upsetting things that I've seen in a long time. The United Nations, UNICEF, right? The well-known organization within the United Nations, says pornography. This is a report that they put out on the 13th of May this year. They said, pornography is not always harmful to children. That's an actual headline from the UN. Look at this. It's outrageous, right? You see that?
Not always.
Yeah, pornography is not always harmful to children. Now, that may seem like an uncontroversial point to make, but in the ongoing story of how some people seek to normalize the idea of sex and children, is just, to me, this is horrific, and it actually comes together in the same category as the Catholic Church's sudden realization that they need to criminalize this stuff. I mean, you can actually go and look at the report. It's a published UNICEF report, and I know what kind of person would think that this is the kind of report the world needs, but there it is, from the Center for Family and Human Rights in the United States. They've looked into this, and they are horrified, as are many of us, at the fact that this is actually something UNICEF would publish. And
I mean, I'm trying to see all aspects here. As you know, I'm usually the diplomat. But there are certain types of pornography which are educational.
Jesus, not pornography. There's certain kinds of there's documentaries.
But hold on, what is the definition of pornography?
I mean,
is it simply putting matters of sex onto a certain type of media?
Listen, when it comes to educating children about sex, to me, the default position should be the parents get to choose and decide what is appropriate for their kids to learn. Right? That should be the default.
I don't know. I don't know if it's healthy for parents to tell kids about sex.
Well, the government school system, because that's very dangerous. I don't like the idea of that. I don't like the idea of a government, even a good government, being in charge of that stuff. Let me just read this to you, Leigh-Ann, and give you an idea of what the problem is here. I know you're trying to play the devil's advocate, and it's not a position anyone wants to argue from. I get it, especially with a subject like this. UNICEF says any efforts to block children from accessing pornography online might infringe on their human rights.
Okay.
What?
That's indefensible. I don't see a way.
Gareth, are you sure this is a legitimate study?
Swear to God, this is
from The Onion?
I'm reading this directly from UNICEF's report. Okay, UNICEF bases this claim on an expansive interpretation of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. And remember, the definition of pornography is printed or visual material containing the explicit description or display of sexual organs or activity intended, this is important, to stimulate sexual excitement. There's no reason that kids should be exposed. Sorry. There's just no reason in the whole world that should be acceptable. Sorry. If I sound like an old conservative and out of touch, then too fucking bad. That's what I think. And it's not on to me that there are people in UNICEF who think it's okay for kids to be accessing this stuff, and that if you block them from accessing it, it's some infringement of their human rights. Are you kidding? Unbelievable.
So they've tried, this is UNICEF, they've tried to take this report down and edit it before re-uploading it, but it seems like it's legit.
It is legit, and they suddenly it's embarrassing because this is what some pervert inside of UNICEF probably thinks is a good idea.
Well, Leigh-Ann, the reason why I'm still not siding with you on this is let's even use that definition.
Just hold on, it's not Leigh-Ann's side. She's just trying to be. She's trying to be
playing
objective.
devil's advocate. Yes,
she's not standing up for UNICEF here.
Even if we use that specific definition in that report of what porn is, that explicitness of footage, you can't, that is not, oh, here's a banana and then you simulate putting a condom on that. It's now spit in my mouth.
Or this is how a human being
flip over.
No
this child
is how a human being reaches orgasm, because that's educational.
Because also porn is a lie. Next thing, like people never mind. It's a lie.
This is up to the parents, and if not the parents, then it's up to social workers. It's up to society as a whole. It's up to the whole idea that it takes a village. But it's not up to governments, and it shouldn't be up to international organizations like UNICEF to be saying what's right and wrong for children.
If there's
I don't
any
mind
tragedy,
schools teaching it.
If there's any tragedy in this,
an extension of government. Yes, Leigh-Ann, sorry.
A friend of mine has 2 stepkids who are 18 and 21, and one of them was on their iPads, and they shut down their iPads just before dinner, and he closed the cover, but the sound continued. And he was obviously clearly watching porn, and she said the thing that I find most admirable, and that was, you know what, guy, you can watch that stuff, but just don't expect it to happen in real life. Women are not going to look like that, act like that, and do like that. It's completely different, and don't treat women in the way that they're treated in porns.
Look, that's an acceptable conversation to have with an 18-year-old or a 21-year-old, but it's not an acceptable conversation to be having with a 12-year-old, for example.
Yeah.
So, everything has its appropriate age. I mean, we don't allow people to vote under the age of 18. We don't allow people to drive under a certain age. We don't allow people to drink under a certain age. And the same should go for this. This is a very, very complex thing to explain to a child. And remember that your brain is constantly growing and maturing and getting to a stage where it can understand certain things. There are just ages at which these things are not an appropriate subject to broach. And if questions are asked, it's up to parents to deal with them in the way they see fit, because, of course, there are terrible parents in the world. But the port of call, the default position should be parents first, and then beyond that, we decide who's got the authority to do this stuff. But certainly not UNICEF. And what they're proposing in this report is outrageous. And really, anyone who can defend this, I'd love to hear your idea of what's a defense, because I can't see one.
I think what's scary for me is that parents should be the ones to know when their child is ready for the talk, right? And I'm seeing that from comments from Eleutheria, who's saying exactly that. Only a parent or guardian would know how emotionally mature a child is to start sex education. It's an individual choice. But if only all parents were that intuitive and involved in their children's lives. But I don't think that we can trust all parents to be in that position.
Well, Gentle Inflatables, which sounds slightly sexual, Gentle Inflatables says, you'll be shocked at what they teach them at school in a subject like life orientation. I don't know. You see, again, I'm glad I don't personally have to deal with this as a parent, because I'm not a parent, but it's a difficult road to navigate. And parents have my sympathy, and parents have my respect for trying to negotiate this very, very difficult thing. I mean, raising 8 kids in a world of the internet, they're bound to be exposed to stuff too early that they're not meant to be exposed to, but we shouldn't support that. We shouldn't be putting it in reports and say that this is a child's right to access porn. That's outrageous. Just want to move on, because we've got only a little bit of time before 7:00, and then we've got plenty to do in the next hour, including get to Sean Sanders, find out what's happening in the world of cryptocurrencies, with Revix and all the rest of it. But apparently you guys were talking about the brace position on Friday while I was away.
Yes.
Well, you traumatized someone. She says, I'm extremely traumatized by the conversation about the brace position. I would like to now donate my business class flights to the Bahamas to Sia, as I am now terrified to fly. Yours, Norma Gigaba, and then that's crossed out, and Amy, and then that's crossed out. So I don't know who actually sent it. It could be Norma, it could be Amy, it could be anyone. What did you say that upset her?
So there are a lot of urban myths about why we go into the brace position.
Yes.
One of them is so that, because if you put your head down like that, you're very likely to snap your neck and it's just over and done with. And then airlines won't have to pay any, insurance or cover for your disability, your lifelong disabilities.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
but rather you just die and they pay for your funeral. That's cheaper for them.
Yeah. So that was the line of discussion. But did she say business tickets or tickets?
I leave you guys no tickets. I leave you guys alone for one day and look what you do. You end up traumatizing.
But then also a very big and important point that we learned on Friday was that if you are in the brace position and you happen to get into an accident or, the plane crashes, it's a good position to be in so that they can find your teeth.
Yes, your dental
somewhat
records
all together, and then they can actually check your identity through your dental records. So your family will know who you are.
What are you doing upsetting people while I'm away?
It was a pleasant conversation for a Friday.
Well, Des sent me this email. She said, the funniest thing happened on Friday. I downloaded some of the episodes I missed on Spotify to listen on my way to the UK because I'm emigrating. And while I was on the plane, I heard Friday's episode titled How to Survive a Plane Crash. It scared the bejesus out of me initially. Luckily, I didn't have to follow the advice on taking the brace position. Thank you for the show. It's been keeping me going and it's become part of my routine every day. Now, for the next 10 days in quarantine, I luckily have you guys to keep me company. Keep it up, Des. So, hey, Des, I hope quarantine's okay. One of my friends went back to the UK and she has a little baby. And she and the baby were in quarantine for 10 days in some hotel near Heathrow Airport. And she said it was horrible. They had the military guarding the hotel. No one could leave. It was like
just
being
the
in a...
two of them?
Yeah. The husband wasn't allowed to visit. They weren't allowed to... She wasn't able to give him the pram or the carry cot or any of that stuff to take home because that could have been contaminated. So for 10 days, they were completely isolated. Very, very strange. Yeah. She sent us pictures of this little hotel room that she was basically just stuck in for 10 days. I'd lose my mind. Can you imagine that?
It's a long time.
It's a long time. Anyway, all right, we've got more to come and plenty to talk about in the next hour, so stick around, cliffcentral.com. Wednesday morning, it is the 2nd of June. Just because it's about technology, connecting your business to the rest of the world doesn't mean you need to send rockets to space and use complicated solutions. Want to simplicate things? Well, join Jaco Voigt, who is the CEO of Catalytic, on the Unbundled podcast. With skin in the game and a keen focus on educating and assisting you and your business, Jaco decodes all the aspects of connectivity, security, and cloud solutions. Unbundled is brought to you by Catalytic and is available on cliffcentral.com, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
grunt when getting out of the car? Creak when getting out of bed? Do you walk into a room and forget why? Are you having trouble in the sack? Is the hump in a slump? Join me, Chris Haven-Smith, and Dr. Mark on the T-Health Show every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m, where we talk to medical and allied professionals about those serious and not so serious medical lifestyle issues. The T-Health Show, sponsored by the T-Clinic. The T-Health Show is available on podcasts. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.
CliffCentral.com on Wednesday morning. Leigh-Ann Moles here, Sia Sangweni's here, and we are ready to keep you company and hopefully entertain you, or at least inform you about some of the stuff that's going on in the world. We were talking about reports and all kinds of things just before 7, and they were much more serious than we'd like them to be for this time of the morning. But one of the other quick things I want to mention is I got an email from Dear South Africa. Remember we had... who did we have? Rob Hutchinson, right? From Dear South Africa on the other day. He's very much still there. There were a bunch of left-wing people who said he'd been fired as the CEO of Dear SA, and I don't know where that came from. Yeah, reports from like people who just didn't give any citations of where these reports come from. Anyway, Rob Hutchinson, who we had on the Burning platform a couple of weeks ago, very much still in charge of Dear South Africa, and he actually sent out I suppose it's a petition or a public comment database, which they're busy putting together on the Firearm Control Amendment Act, which Sia brought up yesterday while we were on the show. So if you go over to dearsouthafrica.org, you will see that there is a Firearms Control Amendment Act petition, which they would very much like you to sign. And I'm only giving this a plug because I'm a big fan of private firearm ownership. I think it's an important part of being a free person that you're able to protect and defend yourself not only against criminals and dangerous members of society and be able to make sure that your family sleep well at night, knowing that you can be the last line of defense. But I also think if government excess becomes a problem and if the government become tyrannical, you should have some way of being able to stand up for yourself. And if there are enough of us in society who are armed, then the government can never make us their slaves. We can never be subjugated completely if we have enough people who have arms. So I think it's a good idea to go and sign up, go and join up, go and make your comments at dearsafrica.org. That's their actual URL, dearsafrica.org. Go along and sign the petition. I think it's important that we all do this. Anyway, just thought I'd throw that in since Sia brought it up yesterday anyway. So I got an email from someone who listens to the show every single day, and I'm pleased that Janet sent this to me because we spoke about the police the other day, and I'm going to breeze through this. It's quite a long email, but it's quite a nice story. She says, like my coffee, I need my daily dose of news, views, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, last week, my car was broken into. At first, it didn't look like anything was taken, but let's face it, a trip to the police station is a schlep. As the day wore on, I discovered that something had been taken, says Janet. My Unicorn USB drive. Which is plugged into my car radio with the music on. Now, I know what you're thinking. What idiot takes a Unicorn USB drive and leaves the radio? But wait, it gets better. The following day, I had to fetch my daughter from school, and our puppy, who hates being left alone at home, had to come with. As I felt behind my seat on the floor, I realized that her doggy bag carrier was also stolen. But our crafty thief had left his hammer behind, I suppose as a thank you for his nice new doggy bag. So I went off to the police station to hand in the hammer and to report that the Unicorn USB drive and a doggy bag were stolen. And I felt really stupid, she says, but the sergeant who handled my case looked tired and cold, but he handled it with grace and humility. I had to tell him about the stuff that was stolen, and he chuckled, and then other policemen and policewomen who were in the station also came over and decided to find out whether what they'd heard was actually true, because they couldn't believe that he would steal these things. During the hour that I was there, we shared jokes and had a few good laughs. When I left, the sergeant thanked me for brightening up their day and for allowing them to laugh along with me, because let's face it, the items taken were ridiculous. They're material things and can be replaced, and I think it makes a nice change to the sometimes devastating and heartbreaking things that the police have to see and hear on a daily basis.
Yeah.
It got me thinking how, despite the bad reputation the police have, there are some genuinely good cops out there. We all know this, but it reminds me that these men and women get up every morning to serve communities and literally put their lives on the line. I've dealt with our police here a few times, and every single time they've been on the ball, courteous, and professional. Within 1 day of my reporting the case and handing in the evidence, I received a call to arrange fingerprints, had a detective call me to let me know that they had the person responsible in custody, and asked if I wanted to lay charges. I joked with her and said no, but if he returns my stuff, they can give him his hammer back. She laughed and told me that she wishes she had more people like me to deal with. An hour after the call, I received a text saying that the case had been finalized. Something small, but it does mean a lot knowing that one does get service, and in the process, you can make a cop giggle and feel proud of your local police station. Have a great day, Janet. Isn't that a nice story? Like, we hear so many shitty stories every day. I just love this.
It is very
So
cool.
nice.
I kind of imagine the hammer to be a pink one with like a bow on it.
No, like the thief was a bit of a small-time thief. I mean, also the stuff that he stole was so stupid, right? Really crazy.
Goodness me. Yeah, it's very cool though.
Or all of that admin later.
Well, I like the fact that these are the kind of police people that I wish we had more of. And I think this is which police station I want to give them credit. I think it's the Brackenfell one. Anyway, whoever it is, it's in the Western Cape somewhere. And to those police people and to Janet for bringing it to our attention, thank you. You know, we need to know that there are actually good people like us doing their thing, trying to make the world a better place. It's just terrific.
Mm-hmm. So good.
There's quite a lot of other news that we want to get to. We talk about like the doggy bag being stolen, but how far have you gone for your pet? Because, I mean, I put up a picture yesterday of Carl sleeping here in my study where I do the show from, and there's Leigh-Ann's pet right on cue.
That cat right on cue understands
Right on cue,
the
there's
assignment.
Leigh-Ann's pet. Just amazing. As soon as we start talking about pets, she comes straight into the picture. Amazing.
And I've been pushing her face away with force. She won't give in.
Bless.
Sweet man.
Oh gosh.
Thea and I were in a meeting yesterday, and Rena's dog had to be a part of the meeting. He also had to jump into the picture because we were talking, and she said, it's so funny that while she's sitting doing work and not talking to anyone, the dog is fine. It just sleeps. But as soon as she starts talking to someone on Zoom, the dog gets jealous and wants attention and wants to know what's going on.
Because the dog knows she's talking to someone else. I have that issue.
Yeah.
That's exactly why this one's here, because she thinks I'm talking to her.
Oh.
Well, I put up this picture yesterday of Carl lying on a bed. I suppose it's a blanket that he's on. And he sits there and snores through the show. And it got me thinking about how spoilt he is, because he probably has a better life than some people in South Africa, which is disturbing. I mean,
Yeah.
there was this video about how there are, I think, 4,000 pit toilets at schools in South Africa. It was put up by the Frederick Naumann Foundation, who I follow on Instagram. And I do get upset. I don't think that you need to compare the two things, because there will always be someone better off than you, and there will always be someone worse than you. And just because an animal has a happy home and it has a warm bed to sleep in doesn't mean that if you took the stuff away from that animal and gave it to a human, that it would solve the problem, if you know what I mean. You can't really equate.
Yeah, everything's relative, honestly.
And I mean, you know, frankly, some people should have pets, some people shouldn't. Some people should have children, and some people shouldn't. And you know, there's no way to make the world completely fair. But I was thinking about it, and some people do go to extreme lengths for their pets, and like even I draw the line. You know, where people kind of their whole day is ruled by their animals, and they don't go away on holiday because they're worried about leaving their animals alone. They buy them expensive food. They buy them
Toys.
presents. Like humans don't even get that kind of treatment. And I think there's a line. I mean, Sia, you saw someone at the shops yesterday.
Yeah, this is what I saw yesterday that got me thinking. Pretty certain there should be a line. Someone bought a pet cupcake mix. So it's completely it's advertised and promoted so that it is pet friendly, but it's a cupcake mix. So they are going to go home and mix
Cupcakes.
all of the yeah, they're going to mix all of this up, they're going to get the pattern, they're going to pop it in the oven, and they're going to decorate so that the pet has a cupcake. That little dog or cat won't even appreciate what a cupcake is. They'll just devour it in 2 seconds. But I'm sorry, isn't that a little loopy now?
It's totally loopy.
It's not far from reality at all. I mean, I
What do
think
you
about. I mean,
For
see,
Leigh-Ann,
there are people who hold birthday parties for their pets and invite their friends with pets around. These things happen, and you know what? If it's all a distraction because we're going to die anyway, I'm all for it. But I remember when I was in the UK once, just on holiday, and you remember Joey, who passed away this year. Well, I killed him actually at the vet. Still getting over that.
what a way to say it. All right. Jesus, what's wrong with you? You had him put down. You did the humanitarian thing.
But I remember when he went missing.
Now you've traumatized Sia as well. I mean, thanks for
that. At one point, I offered a 20,000 Rand reward for him when he went missing. So if you're talking about what steps people with pets will go to, little lengths, there's that.
I started researching this last night, and I discovered there are even some people who buy and pay for dog DNA kits just to find out the percentage of breed they have within their dog thing, and they want to go the whole lineage and find out what does that. Look, I love dogs. I love pets. I grew up with so many dogs, but there was still a particular line. Why does it matter where your dog comes from?
Oh, to some people it's very important, eh?
I think people do go a little bit crazy. They do stupid stuff, and there comes a point. I don't know where that point is. I don't know where to draw the line. I think it's up to everybody to pick that line for themselves. But when you're actually hand feeding your dog, or you develop, sort of a relationship that you would with a human with your dog, because it's always got to be a dog, in my opinion. I mean, it's always like a dog or a cat is a dog or a cat, and there's a line. You've got to decide where that line is. But some people who go over that line, they become pretty weird, and things get very, very creepy, and things get very crazy very quickly. Like, I mean, just for example, I don't know if this is over the line or not, but here is a story from Annette. She says, my dog has stairs to get onto my bed and to the couch.
Oh, that's cute. Okay, that's cute.
I had stairs for Joey, but he was too proud to use them. He simply wouldn't step on them. So I gave those to Damon, actually, for his dogs.
Okay. So here's Steph, says, my mate used to take his dog to the pet physiotherapist. Maybe that's over the line.
For their health, no, I wouldn't say so. Like, what's over the line for me are people who, for example, kiss their pets.
Like on the mouth.
Like,
oh
even
my
just
God.
just kissing the fur for me is a little too much. You can kiss as in put your cheek next to the animal, but your lips on their fur. This thing has been running around outside and has been rolling.
No, I don't mind that.
And then you can
see, some people put their partner's feet in their mouths. That's just as gross.
And other body parts. Ew.
Now, clearly I judge way too many people then, and I'll continue doing so. Sorry, that's too much for me. This thing licks its own genitals. Then you also want to play with. Goodbye.
So, think of all your exes and what genitals they've licked.
They brush their teeth every day. Dogs don't necessarily do that.
I mean,
I don't
most
like-
dogs do.
I don't like this because I don't actually know where I put the line myself. You know, I don't know. Like here, for example, Tracy says my pug had rhinoplasty, like a nose operation. His
Yeah.
snoring was so severe. I mean that, you know.
Yeah,
Again.
but okay, you get that, and you also get. I remember going to my dentist, who I'd been going to for years, and he mentioned that he treated, I think it was a boxer that week for dental treatment. But I mean, the sad thing there, and Tracy, sorry to drive the issue home, is that humans have bred them to the point of
where they can't
creating
breathe.
sinus issues or short sinus passages where they don't have enough surface area in which to absorb oxygen.
Okay, well, if it's something legitimate and there's a medical reason why, sure, I get it. But I don't think Tracy was sitting there going, I'd love you more if you had more of a pointed snout.
No, especially with pugs have got that exact issue with the shortened nasal passages.
I don't think I'll ever buy a cupcake mixture for Carl. Like I'm never going to sit in the kitchen and actually cook his meals.
No, well, you wouldn't even do it for yourself or for a girlfriend or the love of your life.
That's exactly right. There's no way.
Different.
It's no way. Yeah, I don't know. I also, the fact that these animals lick their own assholes, it's just that should be enough. Should be enough reason for you to not kiss them on the mouth. But also, if you've ever smelt one of your pet's breath after they've, it's really what they eat is just. You think humans are gross? Animals are even more gross. So anyway, there's that conversation that we had to have because Sia saw this woman buying cupcake mixture for the dog. Craziness. Leigh-Ann's got some things on her agenda. She threw her toys in Checkers yesterday. What happened?
So I don't go to Checkers.
Are you getting angered all over again now?
Yes, I'm reliving it. But it is next to my pharmacy, which I go to once a month. So sometimes I do go in to get some, I don't know, bread and oros and things like that.
Oros.
Yeah. So went in yesterday and I had literally bread, oros, and a Coke.
All right.
And the queues were just endless. Oh, my word. What a mistake. And also my pride was hurt because I went to the express queue and stood in the queue. And I could hear someone, you can hear someone in the background going, Sisi, Sisi.
Yeah.
And then I realized she was talking to me. I turned around. I'm like, yes. Sisi, the queue is here. The queue is here. And she points to behind her and there are about 15 people. So my pride was ended. And I walked away and found another queue behind two enormous full trolleys. Anyway, stood there. Halfway through the lady's trolley in front of me, she goes, "Oh, I forgot something," and runs off to her car in the parking lot.
Oh, God, no.
So after about 7 minutes, I'm now looking at all these other queues again. I've been there for 20. Do you not have any shame in saying that you've got something in the car? I would turn around. I would go, "Oh my word! I am so sorry. I fucked up. I've forgotten something in the car. Please cancel everything that you've rung up. Let these kind people behind me who've been waiting go ahead into the queue, and I will re-enter with all of my goods." No, she just expected us to wait. Oh, yeah.
So you confronted her?
She wasn't there to confront. She was flitting about in the parking lot. So I just let my toys go when I said to everyone behind me, "Do you know how long I've been standing here for?" So shame. The teller and everyone else got it from me because that woman wasn't there to get it from me. But I eventually went to the cigarette counter and paid for my stuff there. But I felt it's the same as people who make a U-turn on a highway because they've forgotten a turnoff or they stop and reverse. If I do that, I drive until the next turnoff, even if it's 10 Ks. I will do that.
Yeah. Well,
It's just this, inconsiderate, honestly.
People are hugely inconsiderate. I mean, you can even see, and God knows how many times we've brought up examples of this on the show, but it happens every single day. People are just in a bubble. They only think about themselves, their own problems, their world. They don't care what's going on in the rest of the world. They don't care about the real world. They don't care about other people. They're just consumed by their own life. And this is an unfortunate thing. It's like pure selfishness and self-absorption. You see it writ large on social media, but in actual human interactions, it's like whatever my problems are, they are just way more important than me inconveniencing the rest of the city. Like if I need to do a U-turn here and I'm driving a truck, I don't care if I keep 20 people waiting at that robot for 5 minutes longer than they should. It's that they must just deal with it. It's because I need to turn this truck around. Or someone who stands in the middle of the aisle at the shopping center and in the supermarket, and they block the whole aisle because they're busy looking for their particular kind of popcorn that they like to eat on the TV, and everyone has to wait. Or someone
don't you find that often it's you have this like mental fight with the same person from the beginning of your shop to the end. So you'll start off your shop and she's the one in front of you who takes ages to get her hand sprayed because she's asking where to find the pineapples from the person who's spraying hands with disinfectant.
Well, I mean,
and then every single lane you bump into her because she's like there, trying to decide which is baking. Next lane she's doing this. Then she ends up in front of you in the queue. And then she's talking on her phone and leaves this huge gap in front of her. Oh, and then you get into your car and you try and leave. And it's the same freaking woman in her car who's blocking your way.
Oh, no. Okay. So, Leigh-Ann, I think you were ticked off because of what had earlier happened with you waiting in the wrong queue. So this second lady got everything. Got everything out of you. How much had she already rung up before she realized something?
She had one of those basket trolleys, so where they hook 3 baskets onto a trolley, onto a steel frame. Those were overflowing, each of them, and she'd already been through that, and she had another one of those to go.
So she was halfway through ringing things up and then was just going to quickly run to the car and come back?
Well, again, like she could have waited.
I don't think that's too extreme, guys. So I get what...
All right.
I'm never going shopping with you.
No, so I get everything that you guys are saying, how we're in society and we coexist and how we don't want to burden the other person. I think the other side of living in society is having to take a step back and make certain sacrifices for someone else when they're just having
must make the sacrifice.
Moment.
She must make the sacrifice. She must say, cancel the till bill and I'll start again. I've made a
What if she's running late? What if she has family waiting for her? What if she hasn't picked up her kids and she's been a little absent-minded? I'm just a little considerate.
Sia, here Greg says, and this is a good point, people like Sia who order food changing the menu don't have any. You don't have any right to speak on this because you're actually.
What does that have to do with anything we're discussing?
Because it's all embarrassing.
No, it is not. Sometimes you just need to be, I really don't mind. I saw a message from someone else earlier.
Gareth.
I love when you two are fighting for a change.
Someone else, it was Monica who gets ticked off by people who pay their bills at the till as well. Those are services that are offered. Why would you get annoyed by that?
Have you ever
You'll wait
because I don't do that.
Minutes.
I don't do that because I know how much it annoys everyone else. So I pay those things online.
Listen, have you ever stood behind one of those people at the ATM and then they get their bank statement, then they draw some money, then they deposit some money, then they pay a bill, they move some money from one account. They take like 20 minutes.
And you stood behind them because they had bread, arroz, and a Coke, and you thought, oh, this will be quick.
And then they're also the same people who will then get on the phone and call Robert at home and say, Rob, did we really pay this? How much should I pay? And just, it's not the end of the world. It's just 5 extra minutes. Someone is maybe doesn't have the best handle of their day, but that is society. I mean,
no, you need to be organized, know what you need to do.
You were delayed by a few minutes. Did you die? Did you lose the
No, but I did get an email from my employer saying, why haven't you answered this request yet?
All right. I think being considerate is just something that we don't do enough in this country. And Derek says in Japan, kids are taught basics like helping others, cleaning up before they even learn their ABCs. You know, I do think there's some value to this stuff. I think it gets you huge points in society if you're considerate, if you thank someone for something, if you stand aside and let an old person go in front of you, if you're polite, if you open a door for a woman and let her go first, if you hurry up at the pay point so that you don't waste everyone's time, if you're not that person who goes to exit the parking and then blocks it up because you forgot to pay at the machine. You know, doing those things, what it does is it means people look at you and they go, wow, a good person, a person who's doing, like in Janet's email about the police, someone who's helping society move ahead rather than holding us all back. I think that's massively important. We don't pay any attention to that in this country. Everyone's in survival mode. Everyone's doing their thing. They're only thinking about themselves. That stuff, it just leads to problems. And I do think it's worth referring to.
But my
think about what you're about to say.
Yes, my explanation is some people don't have the intention to ruin everyone else's day and to be a horrible person. Some people just don't have the best grip on their lives. They need some consideration, and that is just part of being in society.
Sure.
Leigh-Ann, if that lady came back and apologized to you and everyone in line, would that have made things
before you go?
You see,
turn
so
around,
you wouldn't even have
turn around and say, if she's not going to say, you know what, take my spot and I'll go to the back of the queue because I made a mistake.
Yeah.
If she's not going to do that, then turn around and say, I'm having the worst day ever. I'm so sorry for this. I need to go to my car and get something else. You know, I really apologize.
Right.
Then I could say to her, I understand.
Like the tiniest explanation. You don't have to let them in on all of your problems, but it's a manners thing. It's like these people haven't been socialized properly. You know how you complain when
you didn't know that I existed.
Go back to dogs. Go back to dogs for a minute. You know, like if your dog isn't socialized and it behaves badly around other dogs, then you can't take it out to a park, for example. If humans haven't been socialized properly, if they were raised like wolves, then they really don't have a place in society. They should stay fucking at home, because we are all trying to make it work, and we're trying to make the machine work. If you can't communicate effectively with other people and tell them that there's a problem, hey guys, so sorry, I'm gonna need to quickly go and get my wallet. I left it in the car or whatever. Do you mind? Then people are always like really forgiving, especially South Africans. I give us a hard time, but we're usually very understanding because we know this is a difficult country to live in and nobody gets a free ride. Nobody. So if you turn to the rest of the people in the queue, especially if it's building up like that, and you say, hey, listen, I'm really, really sorry. You say to the person immediately behind you, you don't even have to talk to everybody. Some people are shy. Just say, listen, I'm really sorry. I've screwed up. Do you mind if I quickly go and get this? It might take a minute or two. I really apologize, but I don't know where my head was. Then it's understandable. But to just go, not care, doesn't matter to you that everybody else is where you just don't give a shit how inconvenienced everyone else is. That is the opposite of Ubuntu. That is the opposite of caring. That's the opposite of being a good member of society. That's shit.
Amen, sister.
Yeah. You can't defend that person. Come on, Sia.
I hear you guys.
Oh
I
boy.
think what you guys are raising is valid. I think your justifications are on the extreme side of things, and they're sound. But I'm also saying, let's leave a little space for more compassion and humanity.
I think the compassion and humanity is on our side already.
Okay. We'll agree to disagree then.
I think the person who's being selfish and not showing any humanity is the person who does whatever they fucking want and makes everyone
I
else.
definitely am not saying they aren't being selfish, but I'm also saying their intention perhaps is not to be selfish.
Well, Basit Sana says this message is still not landing with Sia based on his expressions.
Exactly. Like I'm robbing you. I don't intend to like mess up your life, but I'm just going to rob you.
Sergio says Sia's holding up the flag for millennials.
Yes, this is not a millennial thing.
Yes,
and by the way, I'm a very kind and courteous person. Okay, I even feel angst asking for, if I'm shopping and I need to ask for a different size or ask if they have this product in a different color. I even feel bad because I think, oh my gosh, could they not be helping someone else? And who else needs them in the store? Like, I'm that panicky and angsty. But I also know,
more like that, Sia.
No, but I also know when someone is having a bad day, or if someone is so consumed, I'll say slightly rightfully so in their own head, let's be a little more compassionate.
Well, Sia can't even see what's being done wrong. Shocking, says someone when staring Pikachu. Daniel says, Sia, it's not about their intention to be mean to others. The point is they don't even think that there are others that they're going to inconvenience. We need to think about...
How do you know they aren't thinking about that?
Well, Steph says you've lost this one, Sia.
Okay.
Tanya says, so Sia, your neighbor who sings is also not selfish. She's just sharing her gorgeous voice with you.
And you know what? I've let her be. And look, winter rolls around. She doesn't stand on her balcony anymore because it's cold. And she sings from indoors. It's just part of living in society. If I couldn't stand for that, let me move to the desert.
I'm going to give the final word to Sandra, who says, Sia is just typical of young people today. Self-absorbed and no manners. Yes, Sia.
Wow.
Wow.
Exactly, Sia. We're leaving you with that. All right, let's turn our attention to Sean Sanders. Sean is, of course, the co-founder of Revix. We talk to Sean on a weekly basis because that is how quickly things change in the world of cryptocurrency. And we're looking at the prices right now, $36,500 for a Bitcoin, $2,616 for Ether, as we speak at the moment. Another week of incredible developments in the world of cryptocurrency. That's why we keep going to Sean. He's our go-to guy. And Revix is the place where you can find out all about this. So we got to talk about a couple of things. First of all, how are you, Sean?
Morning, Gareth. I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, man. Good to see you. It's been another bumpy week. There's not really anything to celebrate, but there's also nothing to be particularly concerned about. There are some issues that have started to crop up. I think SARS, the South African Revenue Service, have finally made some statements about cryptocurrencies, and this is obviously going to affect the way that South Africans interact with Bitcoin, with Ethereum, with Revix, with all the other platforms that you can buy and sell crypto on. What have they actually said, and how does it affect you and me?
Yeah, sure. So actually, before I even get into what SARS have said, I think a lot of people that invest in crypto, it's not even like this dirty little secret. People don't report their taxable gains when it comes to crypto. It's sort of been this major issue that's existed literally since people started investing in cryptocurrencies. And the tax authorities now have seen this $1 trillion asset class, 2.2 trillion now, asset class emerge, and now they want a piece of the pie. So SARS is a little late to the party, to be completely honest, because there should have been, I guess, sort of requiring exchanges like Revix and like other exchanges in South Africa and platforms to actually provide information on behalf of customers, but they've sort of put the onus on the individual that is investing in crypto. So as much as Revix would like to go on a customer's behalf and provide information to SARS, because we have a lot of customers that ask us about this, we actually can't. There is no regulatory paperwork that we can actually file to say, listen, Joe has made this much money or lost this much money, and we provide that to SARS. So if you deal with a broker, you would have something called an IT3C or an IT3B, and this form would be provided by your financial institution to SARS on your behalf. Now with Revix, we're working on some really interesting statements, which make interesting statements. Actually, that sounds weird, but a statement that makes just reporting taxable gains a lot easier. So this will be something we launch later this year. But I guess in a nutshell, what SARS has come out to say is that you have to report gains yourself, and you need to be able to track your gains or losses. And there's two kinds of gains or losses. Yeah.
Sorry, that's not so unusual. I mean, that's what we have to do with all income that we declare and put forward to SARS. Of course, if they catch you out and you've been lying, then you can face some very stiff penalties. But that's how it works with normal money. You know, you have to declare to SARS and pay income tax on whatever money you've made in a year. And then you reconcile that at the end of that year. And SARS either give you some of that money back or you owe them more money. That's how it works. So it is up to the individual. Yeah. Why would cryptocurrency be any different? They can't expect you guys to be telling them about information that that we're not volunteering ourselves, unless, of course, they have suspicions that you are hiding things.
I think that's really the big point here, is that how does SARS actually get access to this information? So with Revix, you know, we've never had to disclose any information to SARS or any other tax authority. What happened recently, and this is with a few other exchanges in South Africa, SARS went to them and they said, listen, you need to give us information about these individuals. Obviously, you don't know if you had information hand over to SARS or whatever, but I mean, that's essentially what happened. Now, I'm of the viewpoint, and I agree with you, Gareth, that at the end of the day, SARS should come out with a directive and they say, listen, this is how cryptocurrency should be taxed. The onus is on either you as the taxpayer or you as the platform. The problem, though, is that for a lot of people, you're talking about airdrops, you know, where cryptocurrency gets given to you when you own another cryptocurrency, sort of like a dividend. You're talking about some exotic cryptocurrencies that exist out there that don't have tradable markets in South Africa, which makes actually just reporting for the average person a really stressful sort of event every single year. And, you know, you have sleepless nights thinking, oh, well, you know, are SARS going to come after me? And, you know, how do I exactly report these gains? And as a company that tries to make investing in crypto really easy, we actually want to be able to help customers with this. And reporting your taxes, you know, is the right thing to do. And as I said at the start of the show, it's this dirty little secret where people are like, well, you know, I'm just not going to report my crypto taxes. No one will ever know. And I think, you know, if you actually start looking at the longer term opportunity in this asset class and the growth of this, it's going to become more mainstream, right? So, you know, getting on top of your taxes is incredibly important. But I think there's another interesting point to note here, which is there's kind of two different taxes when it comes to crypto. If you invest for less than a year, and I mean, this is kind of a generalized term, but if you invest for less than a year, you are deemed to have any gains at your marginal income tax rate, right? So whatever you pay based on your income every single month, that tax bracket is then what you would be paying on any of your gains, which is pretty high. And if you invest for more than a year and you take that long-term investing approach, then any gains are treated as capital in nature. And again, there's all this jargon when you're talking about tax and all the rest. But capital in nature means that you're taxed at that capital gains tax rate, which is substantially lower. It's just another reason why we advocate taking a longer term investing approach when it comes to investing in crypto. And what's also interesting to note, I think, is around the crypto to crypto transactions, because a lot of people think that if you go from, say, Bitcoin to Ethereum to Bitcoin, there's no taxable event. But in actual fact, those are taxable events.
Okay, that's a big development.
Yeah, there's this argument that if your intention is to hold, and again, SARS needs to come out with greater clarity on all of this, but if your intention is to hold an investment for a 1 or 2 year period, and that investment, like one of our bundles, actually has a predefined rule set that says, okay, right, every single month, I just want to hold the top 10 cryptocurrencies equally weighted. There is an argument to be made there that each of those rebalances then aren't taxable events. Why? Because you're not the one actioning this. You're following an investment approach. But again, until SARS comes out with a directive on how exactly this will be handled, and they should hopefully do so before the end of the year, then
Sean,
we'll know more about this.
What does this mean for ordinary investors, and not just people who are buying on Revix, for example, one of your indices, but people who own currently some cryptocurrency? Now, as I understood it, the tax event only occurs when you cash out, when you change Bitcoin back into rands or some other currency. Is that still the case until we have clarity, or should people start panicking and making moves at the moment? Should they be speaking to their auditors? Will the auditors even know what to say if you acknowledge these things to them? Because many auditors don't know the first thing about cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, so this is a difficult thing, right? Because there's different cryptocurrency prices across different exchanges. So again, this is one of the reasons why you sort of have to have the platform start stepping up and helping their users with tax.
Right.
But for the average Joe, a crypto event actually, or a taxable event in crypto actually occurs when there's a crypto to crypto transaction. That's what SARS has said. However, there is the argument to be made to say, listen, if you happen to go between, say, Bitcoin to Ethereum, back to Bitcoin into rands, that that net amount that you take out is the only taxable amount that you should be reporting to SARS. But again, it's like anything when it comes to tax. Tax is not the straightforward sort of, okay, right, I just made this gain, let me just report that to SARS. You should be consulting with a tax advisor. If you've had a lot of complicated crypto transactions, it's just best practice. I mean, you can reach out to us at Revix. We're more than happy to help you. We're not tax advisors, but we can definitely put you in touch with some smart people. But it's always best to do your homework. And if you're going to be investing in this asset class over the long term, just do the right thing. You don't need to be concealing any information. You've made a good gain if you've been in the market for a while now. So yeah, I think just take a longer term approach here.
Wow. All right. Well, we've got to keep up to date with all of these things. And if you take your money seriously, you know that where you make money, there's going to be government trying to get their slice of the pie. That's just how it works. I mean, there are people like me who think that all tax is theft, but you still have to pay Caesar and render unto Caesar that which is his. So unfortunately, there's no way around this. And anybody who thought that cryptocurrency was going to be a way to get out of tax, I'm afraid that was a very short-lived and false way to conduct yourself financially. So thank you, Sean. It's always good to get these updates. And of course, as developments occur, you'll keep us up to date from here on in.
Yeah, we definitely will. And right. Yeah, tax is one of those areas. I agree with you there, Gareth. I mean, the last thing you want to be doing is paying your profits away to somebody else. But
like just from a philosophical point of view, like what right does government have to take a slice of the pie when you've been the one who's moved your money to X, Y, or Z? They don't deserve any of that. Otherwise, they would have moved their money there too. And it's not their money. They're stealing from you. But what can you do? They have the law on their side, and they have the police on their side, and they have the courts on their side. So you're not going to fight that battle and win. You have to pay the tax. So this is just something we've learned. Look at you. You've just gone from Sean Sanders, Revix.com to Sean Sanders, tax consultant in one fell swoop.
Not a tax consultant, not tax advice, but I'm definitely here to say that taxes can be complicated and we want to help you. So yeah, touch base with us if you'd like to chat further about that.
Thanks, Sean. Nice to see you, man.
Good. Thanks, Gareth.
Yes, Sean Sanders. Okay, Revix.com. You can go and find out more. You can also get all the latest developments and information from Revix. Follow them on social media at Revix Invest on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. They allow you to effortlessly own a diversified portfolio of the world's top cryptocurrencies, which automatically stays up to date with the ever-changing market.
And, what did you say one Bitcoin is now?
$36,738. Why are you laughing? Are you mocking us, Leigh-Ann? What do you think? What do you think about that?
I'm just like, my chances of buying one Bitcoin are completely blown.
But Leigh-Ann, you can buy a piece of it. I mean, you can buy fractional shares in a Bitcoin. You don't have to own an actual coin. In other words, if you have 500 Rand, you can put 500 Rand into Bitcoin.
But you want to be able to say, I own one Bitcoin. You know what I mean?
I don't own a Bitcoin. No, okay. You can own a piece of it. That's crazy. I mean, that's just because you own some gold doesn't mean you have a bar of gold bullion in your boot like Sia does.
Okay.
Yes, of course.
I don't even know why Sia is still here, so please don't even.
Oh wow!
Are you two still fighting about being rude in a shop?
No, I was just reading some of the comments, and I'm just glad everyone's on my side and that I'm right.
No, you reckon majority rule is the way to go, Leigh-Ann? Just because people agree with you,
it's a democracy.
Yeah, sure.
So not right.
I'm always happy to hear the outlying opinion. I don't always think the majority know what the hell they want, so I'm still giving Sia some benefit of the doubt here. Anyway,
look, Gareth, you don't even have to. I know
that on a happy note.
One at a time, please. One at a time. Sia, go. It's your turn, and then I'll let Leigh-Ann go.
I know that my words will ring true one day when Leigh-Ann has her dogs nipping at her heels and they're in the car and there's one who's sick and she's rushing to go to the vet, and then she has to go and drop something off with her parents, but then she also had to stop by and just quickly get something at the shops, but then she realizes she forgot her card in the car. Then she'll remember this moment and hope
that can
other
happen,
people will
but I'll
consider it.
apologize for it and acknowledge
Okay.
the people around me. To end it on a happy note, I
Yes.
realized that I absolutely love spending other people's money. So my
What?
brother gave me his card rather and deposited a whole lot of money into the account so that I
Oh.
could buy. It's basically birthday month happening for us
Oh,
at
nice.
the moment.
So
you
in
know, you
your
have those in the family.
in your family, do you have a stokvel? Is that basically what you're telling us? It's okay. You can admit that.
I might call it that.
Yeah.
But
It's
my
a
brother,
stokvel.
it's definitely just a loan. But I just, I went and bought the most fabulous gift and it was beautifully wrapped. And, you know, it's, even if you're not spending your own money, retail therapy is a thing.
Absolutely.
So did you buy this? Did you buy this gift for yourself because it's your birthday month?
No, it's my mum's birthday on the same day. So it was for my mum.
Okay, nice.
But yeah, even it doesn't matter if it's your money. In fact, it's better when it's someone else's money.
Okay.
But
So much
selecting
better.
gifts.
I
jeez.
could vibe with that. I like that. You know, it's someone else's money you could spend. Yes, I like that. That's a good idea. Spend
So
other
So if
people's
anybody
money.
needs me to buy gifts or select gifts for anyone, let me know. I'm very good at it, but I'll need to take your money. Thanks. Bye.
I wanted to, well, I'll still say it, but I'll put the disclaimer since I'm so judged this morning, and since I still am judged about the fact that I take groceries from my parents' house and I take their crockery as well, which isn't taking, it's like my parents, so what's theirs is mine. Leigh-Ann, if you want to feel better, most banks only give a person a notification if you swipe more than 100 Rand. So you can always easily swipe for something that's 99 rands or more.
Look at you two
They won't
spending other
notice it in the moment. My
Guys,
dad has bought me so many things.
Oh, really? He has, huh? And he doesn't
For
even know it.
99 Rand and 98 cents.
Yes.
He doesn't know.
You're both just crooked. Now, apparently, the MPs, the members of parliament, have had to release their annual gift registry. Now, basically what happens here is, if you're a member of parliament, you have to acknowledge any gift given to you, even if it's something worthless. You know, something like 5 Rand or 20 Rand or whatever. You have to acknowledge that you received these gifts and you have to declare them so that Parliament can be sure that there isn't any lobbying that involves bribes and corruption and fraud. I mean, like people would just leave a gift for you at Parliament. We know that bribery and corruption and fraud takes place at a much higher level in this country. But anyway, they've had to hand in their list of gifts. And some MPs have acknowledged all the things that they've got. So listen to some of the gifts that members of Parliament in South Africa have got. Sia's got the complete list. It's hilarious what people are giving MPs.
Yeah, firstly, I'm just a little confused by how we only get the information in 2021 that it was gathered from 2019. But I'll just read the statement as is, and you tell me if you understand it. So this latest edition of Parliament's Register of Members' Interests has shed light on the gifts the current cohort of MPs received in the first of their 5-year term, which began in 2019. So all of that, this is how we have it now. So this is across the board of all the MPs. They have received gifts such as fruit baskets, bouquets of flowers, free soccer tickets, livestock, overseas trips, cash donations, and even canned fish.
Canned fish. That's the thing that got my attention.
As long as it's not that type of fish from it's one of the Nordic countries that you'll literally gag if you open it.
Surströmming.
Yeah.
Do you remember sorry, I just want to quickly bring this up because Leigh-Ann's reminded me. Do you remember when we watched videos of people opening up cans of surströmming in Norway? And just watching the videos made us gag and want to throw up. Just watching the videos, you can't smell anything, you can't taste anything. And what they try to do is like a family will sit around a table and they'll open up this can, and then everyone starts throwing up because the stuff is so. And it's like a game where everybody tries not to throw up, but everybody does.
Yeah.
It's so
It
revolting.
also reminds me, Gareth, of that time when we were allowed tin openers and things on airlines, and when we were allowed to fly.
Yes.
Of that woman who, because it was one of those airlines where you have to buy your food, so she avoided that by bringing.
She brought a tin of pilchards onto the plane, and she sat right next to me and opened up a tin of pilchards and smeared on biscuits right next to me. You know what that smells like on a sealed airplane from Los Angeles to New York? I wanted to die, and this woman was a disgrace of a human being. She was exactly the kind of person who should not have a vote. She should not have a house. She should live in the forest. She should live in a cave. This creature, and it still upsets me. Look, I'm still getting upset now, years later.
No, I think rightfully so.
God. Ew.
Who does that? Who opens up a tin of pilchards on a plane? Talk about being inconsiderate. My God.
So tinned fish, huh?
No.
Oh, right. Yes, back to that. Okay. So I'll start with the MPs that we mostly know, and then there's some who have received some bizarre things that we don't really know. But for example, Police Minister Begitsele, he declared a luxury watch that he was gifted by the King of Saudi Arabia. That's worth a very casual 750,000 rands.
Oh my word.
It's a gift.
But he declared it.
That's fine.
He declared it. But I mean, what kind of person is the King of Saudi Arabia? And what does he really want by giving a demonstrable fool like Begitsele a gift that costs 700,000 rand? Please. We know there's something dodgy going on there.
Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan is amongst the biggest shareholders as an MP. He declared a total of over 40,000 shares in companies including Nedbank, Naspers, Investec, Shoprite, Bidvest, and British American Tobacco.
Yeah, it sucks to be a communist and then own shares in so many different companies, Pravin. Maybe it's time you evaluated that ideology of yours.
Corporate Governance Minister Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, she declared a bunch of things that are actually worth less in the greater scheme of things. She listed them as gifts from a family friend, in inverted commas, saying that most of these gifts are actually less than 1,500 rands. So some of her gifts included flowers, pajamas, a wall mat, horns, clay pots, earrings, tea, and a dinner set. So, okay.
Give a man a 750,000 rand watch, or 250, whatever it was, and give a woman pot plants, pajamas, perfume, and
a tea set.
Biscuits.
Yeah. DA MP Glenys Breitenbach declared that she had received over 2 million rands from the F.W. de Klerk Foundation, which fitted a legal bill. She also declared a return business class ticket worth about 55,000 rand, paid for by a Mr. N. Kirsch. Ooh, a week-long holiday.
Yeah.
You're going to be Googling him now, aren't you?
No, we actually do know him.
Mr. Kirsch.
I'll keep quiet. She also declared a week-long holiday. So surprisingly, EFF leader Julius Malema declared quite a short list of gifts, ranging from books and flowers to free Soweto Derby tickets. His most expensive gift was a cell phone, a Samsung Galaxy S8, worth 11,000 rands, which he says was sponsored
he's lying.
by someone.
He did not get any gifts. He just wanted to put himself on the list. No one gave him gifts.
Hang on a second.
Just like, let me pretend I got these presents.
Yeah, I think there probably are people. You know, it's like those people who don't get a rose on Valentine's Day when you're at school. You're like,
and you just want to be counted.
So you send one to yourself.
Yes.
That kind of thing. So Glynis Breitenbach had 2 million rand in legal fees paid for by the F.W. de Klerk Foundation. That's a pretty big ticket item. I mean, it's not a personal gift in terms of like she can wear it like Becky Cele wears his watch from the King of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
It's going to legal fees, and I assume that those legal fees would be for that case that she had against the NPA when they dismissed her. And she won that case fair and square. So that to me seems reasonable, and she's admitting it. They have to declare holidays. They have to declare jewelry, clothes, tea sets, all this kind of thing. Is there anything that's really, really like impressive? Is there anything that you and I might want as a gift? Because I don't want legal fees paid or a watch from the King of Saudi Arabia. But is there something I might want?
Well, looking at like big money, ANC MP Giovanni April was awarded a 5 million rand tender by the Department of Public Works over a period of 3 years. That's big money. And then a lot of people have just
how is that even allowed? How is a sitting MP allowed to receive a tender? How?
And then there are a lot of people who just have very generous friends. You know, there's an EFF MP, Tempinkosi Apheleni. She declared 3 monetary donations. Oh, he declared rather 3 monetary donations. You know, things like 30,000 rands, they say, from a friend, and 25,000 rands from an Eastern Cape church. Like, who just readily gives out money like that? Another ANC MP, Boy Mama Bolo, said he received 40,000 rands from a friend as a gift for his son's birthday. He also received a car sponsorship listed from a friend as well. It must be nice to have very generous friends.
Yeah, these are good friends to have. Shit.
Yeah, in wrapping up, DA leader John Steenhuisen only declared a Johnny Walker Black Label whiskey, which is estimated at 2,500 rands, and a bearded rhino from the US consulate, and cigars and coffee from the Cuban Foreign Service. And then finally, Finance Minister Tito Mboweni declared Rwandan art crafts and a box of Swiss luxury chocolates. He also declared a bottle of Scotch whiskey. And he listed each of these items as worth as 1,500 rands in worth.
I'm actually going to send a gift to Tito, to John Steenhuisen, and to Julius Malema, because I have their phone numbers, right? So I can actually get hold of them and I can send them a gift. I can ask them for their delivery address, and I'm going to send them.
What are you going to send?
I'm going to send them each a bottle of whiskey or tequila or something, and then we'll see if they actually reveal this in their gift registry.
You're going to wait. You're going to wait 2 years to see if your gift comes out.
It'll be, and I want them to say not from a friend. I want them to say from Gareth Cliff, and I want people to see that I gave Julius and John Steenhuisen and Tito a bottle of something. I want them to see that in the registry. I want my name to come.
Put something stupid in there, like a box of Smarties or something.
Yes,
and then I have to declare that. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Or maybe even something embarrassing, like a box of condoms.
Yeah.
Yes, because they'd have to list all of that.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to do it. What the hell? All right, everybody. That's all we got time for this morning. It is a Wednesday. It is the 2nd of June. I hope you're having an excellent day so far. I hope your day continues to be excellent. Keep warm. It is freezing in South Africa today. All over the country, it's pretty shitty. And if you're listening to us from overseas, be grateful that you're a little bit warmer than we are this morning. See you tomorrow. Be good.